Today we are discussing several topics including the Xbox Live Gold and the rumored Nintendo Switch Pro. So, before going into the topics, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and click the bell notification icon for more interesting and informative topics. Now, yesterday, Microsoft announced plans to raise the price of Xbox Live Gold from $60 a year to $120 a year. But that announcement was met with such an instantaneous and furious response that Microsoft reversed the decision not even 24 hours after the initial announcement. Now, head of Xbox Phil Spencer has issued an apology for the incident. Immediately after the announcement, thousands of gamers took to places like Twitter to express their disappointment in such a price hike coming from Microsoft, which has steadily built a reputation over the past few years as a company that presents a great value to gamers. The Series S offers next-gen gaming to those on a budget, and Xbox Game Pass is considered one of the greatest deals in gaming, so the decision to essentially double the cost of an essential gaming service came off as spiteful to many. The overwhelmingly negative reaction Microsoft received essentially forced the company to reverse its decision, or risk losing its new reputation as a deal provider. Now Microsoft is trying to save face. Not only has Microsoft reversed the decision to increase the price, but now free-to-play games like Fortnite will no longer require Xbox Live Gold. To save even more face, head of Xbox Phil Spencer has now issued a somewhat public apology. While Microsoft has yet to truly explain why it needed to raise the price for Gold much, some think this was a backwards way into forcing people to upgrade to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes Gold. The gap between the proposed $120 a year for Gold versus the $180 a year for Game Pass Ultimate makes Game Pass Ultimate seem like a no-brainer on paper. But no one really seemed to fall for the trick based on the internet's reaction, especially when people compared Xbox Live Gold to PlayStation Plus, a completely comparable service that only went up $10 in 2019 from $50 to $60. Xbox Live Gold will continue to be $60 a year for the time being, while the PlayStation Plus subscription costs $30 for 12 months. This February's free games with Gold include Gears 5, an original Xbox game, Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb, among others. The inclusion of Indiana Jones is meant to coincide with the recent announcement that Bethesda Studio Machine Games, both of which Microsoft now owns, will be making a new Indiana Jones game. So, I want to know what are your thoughts on the decision and reversion on the Xbox Live Gold by the company. So, before going into the Nintendo Switch Pro discussion, Cyberpunk 2077's 1.1 patch has been released for PC and consoles. It does not bring any major changes but some significant things like optimization on crowds, memory improvement, etc. It is a long list, and if you want to know the full news, the patch news link has been given in the description. You can actually see and check it out there. Now, jumping into the next topic of Nintendo Switch Pro discussion about rumors and details of pricing, specifications, improvements over the last generation and more. Rumors of a Nintendo Switch Pro are still circulating the internet and have been for some time, and those rumors could all point to a new model soon. The Nintendo Switch is the latest in a line of Nintendo portable consoles that have had more than one type of release. The original Game Boy, a handheld console from 1989 that was upgraded, altered, then re-released as the Virtual Game Boy, Game Boy Color, then the Game Boy Advance. The same line of updating and re-releasing held with Nintendo's second portable console, the DS. The DS appeared in 2004 and was followed by the DSi, DS Lite, DSi XL, then the 3DS, 3DS Lite, and more, then moved to the 2DS, and all its many variations. All of these were portable Nintendo consoles released at a variety of price points, times, and with a variety of upgrades and changes. While Nintendo Switch's docking station makes it part console, part portable system, this console seems to be following in the footsteps of previous handhelds. After its initial release in 2017, the Nintendo Switch Lite and the base Switch with an upgraded battery were both released in 2019. It's possible that the Lite's release signals a new era of Switch releases, including a Switch Pro that has been rumored to be in the works since 2017. Unfortunately for fans, Nintendo continues to sidestep questions about a Nintendo Switch Pro, as in the recent interview with President Doug Bowser. In spite of the non-answers that Nintendo executives have been giving about different styles of Switches, the rumor mills about the Switch Pro are still active on the internet, churning out new theories and potential upgrades. Whether the Switch Pro is likely to happen or not, there are enough rumors to piece together what the general population seems to be hoping for if it were to come out. Based on the fact that the Switch Lite retails at $199 USD and the Nintendo Switch retails at $299 USD, it makes sense that a new, upgraded version would cost more than $299, making a price like $399 seem like a good entry point. It wouldn't be a large leap and wouldn't be a ton more than a base model. However, the price may be determined by the types of hardware upgrades that Nintendo would include in the rumored Pro-type model. With the recent discovery of a reference to the new model of the Nintendo Switch by data miners, fans have been speculating whether it could be the rumored Nintendo Switch Pro. Although Nintendo has yet to make an official announcement regarding the upgraded model of the Nintendo Switch, its potential price could be a breaking point for Nintendo's current demographic. As Nintendo thrives with competitive prices against the hardware titans in PlayStation and Xbox, the rumored Nintendo Switch Pro could potentially impact its sales to its current market. If the Nintendo Switch Pro is announced at some time in the future, it's likely that its price could be a deciding factor in its success or failure. As a result, if the Nintendo Switch Pro contains enough hardware upgrades to warrant an increase in price, then Nintendo's current market of players looking for cheaper alternatives may be impacted greatly. Either the Nintendo Switch Pro, to market itself as a competitor to PlayStation and Xbox with its hardware, or the new model will have minor, incremental upgrades so it can keep its original price. If Nintendo plans to reveal the Nintendo Switch Pro, it'll not only need to justify the price, but ensure that current Nintendo Switch owners have a reason to upgrade. While Nintendo has yet to confirm the existence of a new model of the Nintendo Switch, data miners were able to find some information about a new retail model for the Nintendo Switch codenamed Ala. The biggest upgrade appears to be an updated display of some sort that is tied to a new manufacturer. Although it's impossible to tell whether the display will be a minor upgrade to Mini LED or a major upgrade to OLED, it's clear that any potential price increases will depend on the Nintendo Switch's display upgrade. Though rumors of an OLED screen have been popular amongst fans recently, OLED screens are still very expensive to produce, and would increase the retail price of the Nintendo Switch dramatically. Another interesting data mined upgrade was potential 4K support on the Nintendo Switch. Although there was no confirmation of the display changing resolution itself, a number of rumors have popped up regarding the ability to upscale the Nintendo Switch's resolution. If this is the case, the new Nintendo Switch model will likely use DLSS upscaling in order to display 4K resolution instead of native rendering. While 4K upscaled support might not increase the price of the Nintendo Switch, it'll still need hardware upgrades like better cooling and faster clocks in order to keep up. As a result, these minor hardware upgrades could also increase the price of the potential Nintendo Switch Pro. Some rumors that have been whispered about the potential upgrades are an upgraded screen, 4K capabilities, as well as a mini LED Nintendo Switch screen would bring this console to new heights and make for some beautiful gaming. Fixing the drift. After the Joy-Con price reduction last month, some began to wonder if that meant something new was coming. Perhaps a new kind of Joy-Con without the drift, or something completely different than a Joy-Con. And if the controller is something new, then perhaps it would be connected to some new, upgraded console hardware as well. Bigger hard drive. While gamers can purchase SD cards up to 2 TB for their Nintendo Switch, the onboard space is tiny. It can hold everything needed to run the system and just a couple of games. Case in point, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild alone takes up half of the Switch's available space. Faster processing. Rumors have hinted that the Switch Pro may be using the NVIDIA's Tegra Xavier mobile processor and graphics units to boost speeds and processing power. Moreover, the fact that Nintendo has cultivated its brand around cheaper alternatives could directly affect potential sales of an upgraded Nintendo Switch Pro. The target audience Nintendo has built is concerned about accessibility and pricing over the latest hardware. An updated OLED screen or 4K capabilities are great potential upgrades, but unless the Nintendo Switch Pro retains a similar price to the original Nintendo Switch, fans will likely be uninterested. As a result, pricing becomes the biggest issue for the potential Nintendo Switch Pro. If the pricing is too high, it alienates Nintendo's current target audience who are concerned about affordability and ease of use. Most likely, these data mined upgrades signify silent updates to the current model of the Nintendo Switch rather than an upgraded console. While the existence of the Nintendo Switch Pro isn't completely ruled out, there are too many disadvantages in its potential pricing model that would negatively impact Nintendo's sales. So, if you want a Nintendo Switch Pro, let me know in the comments and until then, goodbye.